Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between a shattered bone and being emotionally abandoned.
Because of neuroplasticity, your brain vastly prefers familiar pain over unfamiliar peace.
Um,
Chaos feels like home.
And peace feels wrong. So if you break your arm, an MRI is going to show a very specific region of your brain lighting up, right? Just to
Right.
register that physical pain.
Yeah.
But here is this absolutely mind-blowing scientific fact.
Okay, I'm ready.
If someone breaks your heart or, you experience severe social rejection, that exact same brain region lights up. Like your brain literally cannot tell the difference between a shattered bone and being emotionally abandoned.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that completely reframes how we experience a breakup, doesn't it? I mean, it's not just a sad mood. You are walking around with an invisible, deeply agonizing bodily injury, and your brain is treating it exactly as such.
Welcome to the Living Better podcast, everyone. I'm Ethan.
And I'm Kate.
We just want to take a quick second before we get into this to sincerely thank this community. Like, your continuous support means the absolute world to us.
It really does. Reading your comments is honestly the highlight of our week.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on what we're building here. Because around here, our core philosophy is simple. Living longer is a science. Living better is a choice.
Right. And today's episode is entirely about a choice that society constantly and I'd say unfairly misunderstands.
Completely unfair.
Yeah. We are conditioned to believe that if you leave a toxic relationship, if you are the one who finally makes the conscious choice to say, I'm done, or you pack your bags, you block them on your phone, that you should just be instantly healed.
Like magic.
Right. The assumption is that because you chose to walk away, the pain should just evaporate.
I have seen so many people torture themselves over this. But here's the reality we are unpacking today for you. Leaving is exactly one decision. Letting go is hundreds of decisions.
Hundreds of them.
Yeah. So today's episode is a practical, biological, and emotional roadmap for making those hundreds of decisions. Because, if heartbreak is literally processed in the brain, like a physical injury, why on earth do we expect to heal instantly just because we've consciously walked out the door?
You wouldn't.
Right. You wouldn't take off a cast the day after you broke your arm just because you decided you were tired of wearing it.
You absolutely wouldn't. And to understand why the brain actively and honestly aggressively works against our conscious desire to let go, let's talk about a woman we'll call Sarah.
Okay.
So Sarah is a case study, but honestly, pieces of her story exist in millions of people listening to this right now.
Oh, definitely.
She finally ends a highly toxic relationship that she has been exhausting herself trying to save for 3 long years. She's endured the constant criticism, the walking on eggshells, that whole emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
And she knows, deep down in her bones, that it has to end.
Mm-hmm.
So she does it, she leaves. And for about 24 hours, she feels this incredible, intoxicating rush of freedom.
It's like she can finally take a full breath of air for the first time in years.
But then, almost overnight, that air gets sucked right out of the room. She desperately misses him. She is suddenly replaying their first date. The inside jokes, that one amazing vacation they took.
Which is so confusing when it happens.
It is, and all of a sudden, the bad memories, the screaming matches, the manipulation, they just get blurry. But the beautiful memories become overwhelmingly, blindingly bright. And the natural, logical assumption she makes is, oh no, maybe I still love him. Maybe I made a massive mistake.
And that is exactly where it gets so uncomfortable
Mm.
and where we so often betray ourselves. Because, look, I've been there and I know how real that realization feels.
Yeah.
But her brain isn't actually reviewing reality,
Mhm.
right? It's actively trying to protect itself from chemical withdrawal.
Exactly. We have to look at the actual biology of her pain. When you are in a relationship, your brain gets a steady, predictable drip of neurochemicals.
Like dopamine, right?
Dopamine and oxytocin.
Yeah.
The bonding and reward hormones. So when that relationship ends, that supply is cut off cold turkey. Instantly, your brain floods your system with cortisol.
Which is major stress hormone.
Exactly. Your brain is literally experiencing chemical withdrawal. That is why your chest physically aches, why you feel nauseous, why you can't sleep. The anterior cingulate cortex, that brain region you mentioned in the intro, is just firing on all cylinders.
Which makes so much sense because it feels like a survival crisis. You genuinely feel like you are dying.
You do, because your brain is not designed for happiness, it is designed for efficiency and survival. So because of neuroplasticity, your brain vastly prefers familiar pain over unfamiliar peace.
Unfamiliar peace.
Yeah. Think about it like a physical path in a dense forest. Imagine you've walked the exact same path through those woods every single day for 3 years.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You've trampled down all the grass, you know exactly where the exposed roots are, you know where to step. It requires zero mental energy to walk that path. It is entirely automatic.
Even if that path leads to a miserable, totally toxic destination.
Exactly. Then one morning you decide, you know what? I deserve better. I'm going to walk a different way. But there is no path over there. You have to bushwhack through thick mud, thorny bushes, and heavy branches.
Which sounds exhausting.
It is physically and mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
So your brain stands at the edge of the woods, looks at that new difficult path, and says, absolutely not, I want the old route. Not because the old route leads somewhere good, but simply because it's familiar. It just requires less energy.
I see this all the time. It is exactly why people do that incredibly self-destructive thing where they open Instagram or Facebook just to check up on their ex.
Oh, yes. The social media trap.
They lie to themselves. They say, oh, I'm just curious what they're up to. Purely for academic purposes, right? Just a casual FBI investigation against your own mental health.
Right, just checking in.
Yeah, and you inevitably, 100% of the time, find something that completely ruins your Tuesday.
Every single time. You never find something that makes you feel better.
Never. But here is the wild part about that behavior. I've noticed that your thumb moves to open the app, type in their name, and hit search before your conscious mind even catches up to what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. It's totally automatic.
We beat ourselves up and call it a lack of discipline. But it's not a lack of discipline, it's conditioning. You are just blindly chasing the dopamine of expectation and relief. Like you aren't actually chasing the person at all. You are just craving the tiny possibility that checking your phone will suddenly make the agonizing pain make sense.
And this is exactly why you have to ignore people when they give you that cliche advice to just, follow your heart right after you leave a toxic relationship.
Oh, I hate that advice.
It sounds so poetic, but it is honestly terrible advice.
Okay, so if my brain is just blindly craving its old dopamine fix and totally ignoring reality, then clearly my internal compass is broken. I mean, I can't trust my own thoughts right now. So why is following the heart so dangerous in this specific scenario?
Well, because you have to think about where your heart and your nervous system are currently calibrated. They are calibrated to yesterday. If you've been in a toxic relationship for years, your nervous system is deeply used to chaos, anxiety, and high-stress dynamics. To your brain, chaos feels like home.
And peace feels wrong.
Peace actually feels terrifyingly boring to a traumatized nervous system. So if you blindly follow a nervous system that is craving its familiar chaos, it will lead you straight back into the arms of the person who broke you, simply because that environment is what it knows how to navigate.
Okay, I completely agree that blindly following it is a trap. But I want to add a caveat here for everyone listening, because I don't think you should just numb out and ignore your feelings entirely.
Definitely not.
The trick isn't to ignore the feeling. The trick is to interrogate it. Like instead of just sitting on your couch asking, what do I feel right now? You have to take a step back and ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to make me do?
Oh, that is a brilliant distinction. Taking a breath and analyzing the actual motive of the emotion.
Exactly. Because loneliness might be screaming at you, like completely taking over your body, telling you to text them. But if you interrogate it, you realize loneliness isn't actually asking you to text them. Loneliness is just a signal asking you for connection.
Right.
And there are 1,000 healthier ways to get connection that don't involve texting your toxic ex.
Yeah.
It is the fundamental difference between missing the actual person and just missing the pattern.
That is so true.
So often you aren't missing the ex at all. You are missing the certainty. You're missing the Sunday morning routine of getting coffee together. Or, you're missing the version of yourself you got to be when things were actually going well.
You're just missing a predictable outcome. You want to know what happens next, which really brings up this universal, almost cultural obsession with getting closure.
Oh, wait, let's talk about closure, because I really have to push back on this a little bit.
Yeah.
People are constantly chasing that one final coffee date.
The famous final coffee date.
Right. They say, I just need to sit down with them one last time so I can get closure and move on. But let's say you do it. Let's say you sit down at the coffee shop and your ex looks you in the eye and gives you a flawless, cinematic apology.
Which never happens, by the way.
Never. But let's say they take complete accountability for everything they did to you. Does that actually rewrite the ending? Does a perfect apology magically erase your anxiety or restore your ability to trust overnight?
No, it absolutely doesn't. And that is the harsh truth people avoid. Closure is not a real thing. Closure is actually just a disguised desire for certainty.
A disguised desire for certainty.
Yeah.
Wow.
You want the pain to make sense. You want them to give you a neat, logical explanation for why they hurt you. But if you are waiting for the person who broke you to give you certainty, you are handing them the control over your own healing story. You are literally sitting around waiting for them to finish writing the book of your life.
Wow. So if my internal compass is broken because it's calibrated to the past, and I can't wait for my ex to give me closure, I have to rely on external actions. It seems like the biggest mistake people make is trying to win this battle entirely inside their own heads.
Oh, 100%.
They sit alone in their rooms and think they can just logic their way out of a broken heart.
But you cannot think your way into letting go. The brain just doesn't work like that. You have to behave your way into it.
I love that framing. Behave your way out. Can you explain how we actually do that?
Sure. So you have to understand that the brain trusts evidence significantly more than it trusts intention. Imagine you are standing in a room and someone is calmly looking at you saying, "You are completely safe, everything is fine, don't worry."
Okay.
But the room is literally on fire. The curtains are blazing, smoke is everywhere. What does your brain believe? The calming words or the fiery environment?
The environment.
Yeah.
Instantly. It doesn't care what the person is saying.
Precisely. So you can sit on your couch and tell yourself, "I'm moving on, I'm done with them, I'm healing." But if your behavior is checking their profile every morning, rereading old text messages, and asking mutual friends about them, your behavior is teaching your brain that this person is still the absolute most important thing in your environment.
That is so true.
The brain observes your actions and says, well, we are dedicating a ton of resources to checking on them every day, so we must still need them to survive.
It is so wild to me when people try to brush that behavior off. They get so defensive about it. They'll say, oh, I'm just checking. It's totally harmless. It doesn't mean anything.
Right, I'm just curious.
Yeah, but think of it like this. If a recovering alcoholic came up to you and said, hey, I don't drink anymore. I'm totally sober. I just go sit at the bar and smell a glass of whiskey for an hour a day. Would you say that's harmless?
No, obviously not. Of course not. Because recovery isn't just about putting down the substance. It's about breaking the habitual pathways in the brain. Smelling the whiskey keeps the pathway alive. Checking the Instagram keeps the pathway alive.
Exactly. It comes back to that classic foundational neuroscience rule. Neurons that fire together, wire together.
Right.
If every single time you feel lonely, you cope by checking their page, you literally wire the feeling of loneliness and the image of that person together in your brain. The physical bond actually gets thicker and stronger.
But if you feel lonely and you intercept that feeling and you meet it by calling your sister or, I don't know, lacing up your shoes and going for a run or sitting down to journal, a brand new neural pathway starts to form.
You're bushwhacking that new path in the forest.
Yes, you are laying down a new path. Healing isn't this one heroic, cinematic event where you cry in the pouring rain, have an epiphany, and suddenly you're cured forever. Healing is training. It's conditioning.
It is an ongoing practice
Yeah.
every single day. But human beings are so incredibly impatient with their own healing. It's hilarious, honestly, how unfair we are to ourselves. It is exactly like planting a tiny seed in your garden and then waking up the next morning aggressively digging it up and screaming at the dirt because there isn't a massive oak tree there yet.
Oh my gosh.
Or going to the gym exactly one time, looking in the mirror and accusing the dumbbells of betrayal because you don't instantly have a six-pack.
That is hilarious, but it is painfully true. We want the instant gratification, but the neuroplasticity of the brain absolutely requires the reps. You have to put in the work.
So let's say you are doing the work. You are putting in those reps, building those new pathways, behaving your way out of the woods. But then the environment forcefully triggers you out of absolutely nowhere.
The setback. This is where so many people just give up. Let's go back to our case study, Sarah.
Right, Sarah.
She has put in 6 weeks of solid, grueling progress. She hasn't checked his page. She's building new routines. She's reconnecting with friends. She genuinely feels good. And then, on a completely random Tuesday afternoon, her phone lights up on the kitchen counter. A notification. Liked your photo.
Oh, man. Just a single like.
Just a like. But instantly, her heart races, her stomach drops through the floor, she breaks out in a sweat, and she feels like she is totally back at square one. She feels this crushing defeat, like all that grueling progress just vanished in a single second.
But it didn't. And this is so critically important for everyone listening to internalize right now. Feelings are not a measurement of progress.
Say that again?
Feelings are not a measurement of progress. Having a severe emotional reaction to a trigger is not a failure. If you are doing intense physical therapy to recover from a major knee injury, and one day you step off a curb wrong and feel a sharp, agonizing pain, you don't sit on the sidewalk and say, well, my knee's completely broken again. All my therapy was useless. I'm back to zero.
No, you don't.
You just realize you hit a tender spot, you acknowledge it, and you keep walking.
That is a perfect way to look at it. Emotions are signals, they are not commands. If a smoke alarm goes off in your house, it is just alerting you that there is smoke. It is not commanding you to throw gasoline on the floor and burn the entire house down.
I made that.
Sarah's brain is just reacting to a missing pattern. Her nervous system sees his name pop up and says, oh, I remember this routine. Let's fire up the old pathways.
But instead of just recognizing the smoke alarm for what it is, people fall into this massive, exhausting psychological trap. I call it the imaginary kitchen TED Talk.
Wait, what?
You know exactly what I mean. You are
Right.
standing there chopping onions on a Tuesday night, and suddenly you are having a full-blown, passionate, imaginary argument with your ex in your head.
Oh, yes, the shower arguments.
Exactly. And of course, you are making absolutely brilliant points. You are articulate, you are devastating, and you always win the kitchen TED Talk.
You never, ever lose the imaginary argument.
Never. But all that is actually happening in that moment is your brain is desperately trying to complete an unfinished story. It is fighting the agonizing uncertainty of how things ended.
Right.
The absolute best thing you can do for yourself in that moment is to stop debating your own emotions. Do not fight the imaginary ghost in your kitchen. Just name the feeling. Just stop chopping the onions and say out loud to the empty room, I am feeling incredibly lonely and angry right now.
Which takes the power away.
The second you name the feeling, you create distance from it. You have to become a surfer navigating the wave, rather than trying to magically create an ocean that has no waves at all.
Because the waves are going to keep coming for a while. But here's the next phase of the roadmap for this episode. Once you stop reacting to those triggers and you finally put the phone down and you stop having the imaginary arguments, you are left with this terrifying, deafening silence.
Yeah, that silence is incredibly loud. It almost feels worse than the chaos at first.
It does. Because letting go isn't just about losing the person, it is about the much more daunting task of rebuilding the self. That silence feels viscerally wrong at first. It is like living next to a noisy, rattling train station your entire life.
Okay, I see where this is going.
The constant rumble, the shaking walls, you eventually adapt to it. If that station suddenly shuts down permanently, your first thought isn't, wow, this is so peaceful and lovely. Your first thought is, something is horribly wrong, I am in danger, because the familiar noise is gone.
That is exactly what a toxic relationship does to you. It shrinks your identity down until your entire existence is just managing the noise.
Yes, managing their
You
noise.
spend all your mental energy anticipating their moods, walking on eggshells, trying to fix things, trying to keep the peace. When it finally ends, your brain's whole self-concept has to update. You didn't just lose them. You lost the version of you that was employed full-time managing them. So the terrifying question bouncing around in the silence is, who am I now?
And to figure that out, there are 4 vital questions you really need to sit down and ask yourself to rebuild that identity. And the first is about taking inventory. What parts of me became smaller in that relationship?
Man, that's a painful one to answer because you realize you stopped seeing your friends. You hid your actual opinions because you didn't want to start a fight. You shrank yourself to fit into their world.
Exactly. Which leads naturally to the second question. What did you actually enjoy before you were constantly trying to make them happy?
Right. Like, what were your hobbies? What music did you listen to before they told you your taste was bad?
Yes.
And that brings up the third question, which I think is so empowering. What would I be doing differently right now, today, if I wasn't terrified of losing them?
That is where the freedom starts to peek through. And the fourth question, which really points the compass forward, is what kind of person do I want to become after this experience?
Answering those questions isn't just journaling, it's literally how you start to lay down new pavement on that forest path. You are actively building a new identity.
It is. It's the blueprint for the new path. It is also the exact place where you have to fundamentally redefine what forgiveness means.
Yes, please. This is so misunderstood. Let's get into this.
So many people think forgiving their toxic ex means giving them access again. They think it means calling them up and saying that what they did was okay.
Which it wasn't.
It absolutely wasn't. Forgiveness has nothing to do with them. Forgiveness is simply releasing yourself from carrying the immense emotional weight of their actions. It is choosing to put the heavy baggage down so you can walk your new path. You can completely forgive someone and still keep the door firmly locked.
A locked door doesn't mean you hate the person outside.
Exactly. It just means you finally know what belongs inside.
I love that. A locked door just protects the peace you've built. But I do want to caution everyone listening against a very specific trap here. Don't take all this rebuilding energy and turn it into an exhausting self-improvement project aimed at your ex. I see people do this all the time. They get their heart broken, so they hit the gym twice a day. They buy a whole new expensive wardrobe. They start a side hustle. They post all these glowing photos online.
The revenge glow up.
Yes, but their entire underlying motivation is just to make their ex regret losing them. Listen to me. If you are doing all of this just so they notice your glow up, they are still the audience of your life. They are still directing your play from the shadows. The ultimate goal here isn't to become someone your ex regrets losing. The goal is to become someone you no longer abandon.
Which brings this entire journey completely full circle, because we have to look at what ultimate freedom actually looks like for Sarah, and for anyone listening who is in the thick of this pain right now. True letting go doesn't happen in some dramatic, cinematic movie climax.
Right. There are no rainstorms, no swelling orchestral music, no final dramatic speeches.
No. True healing is remarkably quiet. One random Tuesday, Sarah is driving to work or she's pushing a cart through the grocery store, and she hears their song on the radio overhead. The exact song that used to make her spiral for days and cry in her car.
Yeah.
And this time, she simply hears it. She acknowledges the memory. She might even smile at a good part of it. And then she just moves on to the next aisle and picks out her vegetables. Remembering them no longer controls her nervous system.
That is the dream. Because the goal of healing is never emotional amnesia. You aren't trying to eternal sunshine your own brain and pretend they never existed or that it didn't hurt. The goal is just freedom. You know you are healing when your future simply becomes vastly more interesting to you than your past.
And that healing happens quietly. Remember, a bad day is not a failure. A moment of weakness is not a reset. Healing happens in hundreds of tiny, completely invisible decisions where you just continually choose yourself over and over again.
It has been an incredible journey exploring this with you today. If you are listening to this and you know someone who is struggling to let go, someone who really needs to understand the actual biology of their pain, rather than just getting another cliche text from a friend telling them to move on, please share this episode with them. It might be the exact roadmap they need.
It can make all the difference in the world to finally understand what your brain is doing and to know that you aren't crazy. You're just healing.
Before we go, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over today. What if all that intense, obsessive mental energy you spent for months or even years trying to decode their toxic behavior, anticipate their moods, and fix the unfixable what if that is the exact same fuel you are now going to use to launch the most brilliant, vibrant chapter of your own life? You already have the drive, you already have the endurance, you are simply pointing it at a brand new destination.
Yeah.
You are taking that broken arm, letting the bones set properly, and realizing it has actually grown back stronger than it was before the break.
Thank you so much for being here with us today.
We'll see you in the next episode.